Good morning, Jack. So we just give you some feedback for your section C. Um, so I'll read it out loud first. Section C, what I can see through my window, which is obviously the question, wasn't it? Today is a warm, bright, sunny day, so we like that. You've got a nice warm rule of three, so well done. I'm going to underline that actually. So this is good, rule of three. So I'll highlight this in red. Okay, so that's good. Over my bedroom curtains look out of the window. I can see a multitude of things. Okay, you could probably put a semicolon there. Do you remember what I talked about, that you need semicolons? So I am going to put brackets. I'll put it there, semicolon. Okay, the reason you need a semicolon there is you need to show off to go up the grade boundaries. Okay, right, so basically I would say try and put a semicolon in. Okay, right. The only thing that I can see is a reflection of the curtain, full stop. The curtain factory is all folded as it has been squashed into the corners, and the actual pattern is a series of blue and white squares. Again, you could put a semicolon there, or you could put a colon. Okay, and I am going to, I think, we'll look at a video on that. You need to put these in, you'll go up. You will go up a whole grade, basically. If you put those in, right. Correct that, you'll go up a whole grade. I think I'll just highlight this in a different colour. You've got a lovely description here though, okay, good. The actual pattern is a series of blue and white squares. Everything else is far and appears blurry without my glasses. Good. It sort of looks of like when you see when you cross your eyes. Yeah, you could have put a metaphor in here, and then you would have gone. You could say, viewing the scene in this way is like, or is akin to walking in a dream world. You can say that. Why would we say that? Because if you put in a metaphor, obvious, walking in a dream world, like walking in a dream, that's actually a simile. I'll put simile actually because it's like. You get a higher grade for putting metaphors and similes in. Okay. So you've got lots, and I'm going to put here lots of lovely descriptive language. That is correct. Okay, you have got lots of lovely descriptive language. You're good at this. You're going to pass. Okay. The sky's very blue with the occasional airplane flying along and a few clouds travelling north here and there. Although the sun is too bright to look for too long at the sky. Okay. You see here, there's a rule here. I'm going to underline it. So the rule is, although at the front of the sentence, no, a comma, although at the end of a sentence, no comma. Okay, I'm actually going to give you a worksheet on that. So I'm just going to highlight that worksheet. So the worksheets that I need to highlight to give you, I'm going to put in green. So here's another worksheet here, or not worksheet, or video. because we need to just sort these out basically. All right, so there we are, green. Working, oh good, so good, oh good, 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 good. So I like this, this is good, good. So I'm going to put good, a participle phrase, starting with ing. Okay, so I like that, well done. The next thing I see is a neighbour's house. It might be actually be lots of connected houses. Actually, it's a normal building with a satellite and window of its own. In fact, there's a window on the house that has directly opposite mine. Okay. Between our houses are our back gardens, showing a fence in the middle that is very old and covered in plants. It should probably be replaced one day. These plants completely obstruct my view of the garden, so I can't describe it. I can see my own garden. In an English exam, we don't start a sentence with but. I do actually, you can if you're not in an English exam, but don't start with but. Okay. So you could put, although I can see, luckily I can see, use luckily or whatever. But yeah, so don't start with but in an English exam. Just a rule, really. You can in real life, but not an exam. In my garden, I can see 3 brown wooden fences all look very similar, all separating 2 gardens, which I can see almost see into. I can see the 3 brown wooden fences that all look very similar. In my garden, I can see the 3 brown wooden that all look very similar. It's a bit clumsy, this sentence. Yeah, so oh my God, I can see 3 brown ones that all look very similar. Might put a semicolon there, to be honest, because that's a spliced comma other than that. Okay. Otherwise, it's a spliced comma, which means that it's sort of it's breaking up a sentence with a comma, which you shouldn't do. Okay. I'm just going to highlight that in blue so you can see it. Okay. And try not to end a sentence with a hanging preposition. Put into which I can see. Into which I can see. Rephrase that. So I think it's basically a rephrasing. So basically, this is a clumsy sentence. It's not the end of the world, but it's sort of slightly wrong. Yeah. The one on the right was supposed to so it looks a bit newer. The one on the left looks a bit grand. It appears to be between the other two. They are like siblings. Good. Oh, excellent. So I like this a lot. Why do I like it? I'm going to hear you saying this to me. It's a simile. Good. And it is a short sentence. We have to use short and long sentences. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's good. Distinguishable traits. That's a nice vocab. Distinguishable traits. Hang on. So good. You're using some good vocabulary there as well. I'm happy about that. Just taking my jumper off because it happens to be really hot all of a sudden. Moving on to the floor now, and the most eye-catching thing here is the bright green grass covering the garden. There's also a tree next to the left fence and a small wooden fence shed in the corner next to the back and right fences. The last only thing I can see is a white parasol that resides on the patio. I like the word resides, good. Unfortunately, the patio isn't visible from my bedroom window due to the positioning of the window. I'm fine with the grass though. Now I've looked out of my window I think I'm ready to go downstairs to start my day. So yeah, that's a nice short, good. I like the short paragraph there. Short paragraph. Good. So you're competent. This is competent, okay? It is actually competent. I'll get the mark scheme out in a minute. It's very competent, actually. Well done. Okay. What's missing? Okay, what is missing? So do you remember my recipe, which is 17 points? Okay. So if I think of my recipe of the 17 points, I think that what is missing is a flashback. You can put a flashback in there. I remember when we first arrived here, it was all artificial grass. But it was when we first viewed the house, it was artificial, but then it was taken away. You could say that. That's interesting. Or and then we had to redo the whole garden, so we couldn't go in there for 6 months. It's really great that we can go in there now. You could even talk a little bit about lockdown. The fact that you've got a garden is really important. So yeah. So you can do a flash forward as well. Those things which are structural will take you up the grade boundaries. Okay, because they're structural basically. Sort of you've got the garden, but then you're zooming back in time or forward in time, which is absolutely allowed. Okay, if you can grasp that, it is allowed. Right, I am gonna, because you seem to have forgotten about colons and semicolons. I'm going to give you a video on colons now, to be honest, before we go any further, and I give you a mark. All right. Because and then on this stream, so homework, I want you to write 5 sentences with semicolons, 5 sentences with colons, okay? And you can write about the guinea pigs, your house, okay? Because hopefully you'll be able, it won't catch you out. You will be able to write about something really simple. So you write about the guinea pigs and your house. Now I'm going to put these videos in here so that you actually know how to do them, because I'm not particularly happy that you are know how to do them. You're not using them. I'm also going to look at putting the where you put the comma with all those. So let me just first find the video on colons. All right, colons are actually quite hard. Let me find you the video on colons. Hang on. It's just coming through now. So colons. Oh, I don't think Mr. Ruff does colons, does he? I'm just having to look. How to use semicolons? Hey, there's a really good one on colons that I watched once. Hang on. Right, I'm going to give you this one. Yeah, I think this one's quite good. Oh, whoops. How am I going to get this so you can see it? Oh, there we are. Good. Okay, so let me just start.
I pretty much got it wrong.
No worries. Actually,
Oh, this is the correct one, okay? This is the correct video that I teach with normally, all right? So, yeah, this is a good video on colons. So take notes as you're watching it. I want to see the notes underneath for colons and for semicolons, okay? And this is how to use colons correctly in your sentences. Try and put a colon in a semicolon. I'm not joking. You will go up the grade boundaries. You will get a 7, all right? It's literally depending on that. I've taught this for years, I know, all right? So, it's worth revising these and getting it drummed in your head. Okay, so I'm going to play this now.
I just got this paperback and it looks like I'm going to need some help.
sure. Anything in particular?
Well, every time I tried to use a colon, I pretty much got it wrong.
No worries. Actually, the colon is one of the easier punctuation marks to understand. Let's take a look at your paper. I've got some good news for you. All but one of these mistakes comes from the single most important rule for colons.
Which is?
A colon can be placed only after a complete sentence.
Really? I thought a colon was part of the sentence.
Actually, the colon replaces the period when you, the writer, wish to add something after the end of the sentence. Look at this example. The archaeologist uncovered artifacts of great importance: eating utensils, animal bones, and a burial box. Is there a sentence before the colon?
Yes. The archaeologist uncovered artifacts of great importance. That's the sentence.
How do you know that?
Well, if you put a period after importance, there would still be a complete thought.
Exactly. The archaeologist uncovered artifacts of great importance could stand alone as a complete sentence. So, to add a list or any other type of extra information at the end, we replace the period with a colon.
Okay, that seems simple enough, but where did I go wrong?
Let's look at the sentence you wrote. Read the words before the colon and tell me if they form a complete sentence.
Even small rooftop gardens can produce. Oops. No, it can't stand alone as a sentence. So what do I do? Not use a colon at all?
That would be one correct choice. Put the list of vegetables as direct objects of the verb, no colon required. Even small rooftop gardens can produce beans, squash, tomatoes, and corn. Your other choice would be to construct a complete sentence. Add a colon, then the list. Now, what could you add to the first part to make it a complete statement?
Let's see. How about even small rooftop gardens can produce a variety of vegetables: beans, squash, tomatoes, and corn.
Excellent. Now, which of the two options do you like better, with a colon or without?
For this essay, with a colon. I wanted to set off the list in order to show how many different vegetables you can grow in your apartment.
That's an excellent reason to use a colon. And now you know how. Let's look at one more sentence from your essay that needs this colon rule applied to it. Apartment dwellers can still enjoy gardening in places such as balconies, rooftops, even kitchens. Is there a complete sentence before that colon?
Okay, you got me. There isn't. But I thought you had to put some kind of punctuation after words like such as to introduce a list.
That's a common misconception. Think of it this way. The colon has the same purpose as such as, to introduce. So using both of them would be redundant. This same rule applies after words like including. Always go back to the basic principle. Use a colon only at the end of a complete sentence. In addition to setting off lists like the one you wrote, colons can also be used to add emphasis to any explanation or example. Look at this sentence. Hollywood's action films are very predictable. Chase scenes separated by love scenes.
I see. The sentence provides a sort of introduction to what comes at the end.
That's a good way of putting it. A colon lets you, the writer, introduce what comes at the end. The colon creates a full stop pause, just like the period does. So the thing that follows receives maximum emphasis. This technique can also emphasize an entire sentence. For example, Americans reacted to the natural catastrophe in typical fashion. Soon, the Red Cross was receiving donations at a record pace. Is placing the colon after fashion correct?
I think so. The colon comes after a complete sentence, so it's okay to be there. Also, the second sentence explains what typical fashion is. But I have a question. Is it okay to capitalize after the colon?
Yes, it is. If a complete sentence follows the colon, it's your choice whether to capitalize the first word or not. Just be consistent throughout your paper.
Okay, I can do that. Anything else I should know about the colon?
The other error that I saw in your paper had to do with the conventional uses of a colon.
What are those?
Conventional use means in special circumstances like time designations, 11:59 p.m., or after a formal salutation, dear sir or madam. In your case, it's conventional to separate a title from its subtitle with a colon. You wrote, Daylight in the Garden of Plenty, Apartment Cornucopias. That's a great descriptive title, but unfortunately you put a comma after plenty.
So it should be a colon instead.
Exactly. In formal writing, you should separate a two-part title with a colon, and be sure to capitalize the first word of both.
Excellent. These rules really help. I definitely see how to use the colon more effectively now.
Okay, so there we are. There's your video.
Hi, I'm Rebecca from Ingvid.
I don't know if we should watch this one on semicolons. I suppose we could, couldn't we, just to remind ourselves. Oh God, it's very long. We won't watch that one. I'll show you a Mr. Bruff one. So make sure you take notes on that particular video, okay? And then write me at least 5 sentences. I've said, haven't I, on it? 5 sentences. No, let's do 10. I want you to really 10 sentences with colons, okay? Okay, I want it to be stick how to use it. Right, I'm going to stop the video now so I can upload it, and then I'm going to give you the mark scheme. All right. So it's in 2 bite-sized pieces, basically. All right.